So now that you've got your shiny new M1 Mac, you would obviously want to exploit its full potential and make use of the vast library of apps and software available for Mac. So let's explore this in this video. Remember, Rosetta 2, which allows x86 architecture apps, or in simple terms, apps that were designed to run on Intel chip Macs to run on M1 architecture machines. But just the fact that they can run on M1 chips should not be a reason to install these Intel apps without consideration. Even though the M1 chips are so fast that they will run these apps nearly as good as natively running them on Intel machines, the fact remains that these will be unoptimized and not make the best use of system resources. The notorious swap file issue will rear its ugly head more often if you use unoptimized apps. More on this in the swap file issue video. Links in the description. So with that out of the way, and with the understanding that you should download the version specific to your computer, what apps are must-haves for Macs in 2021? Now we won't go into the usual suspects here. So that means that all native Apple apps like Pages, Numbers, Keynote, or their Google or Microsoft equivalents are something that we are all familiar with and probably use on a daily basis. Instead, these are the best of slightly lesser known apps that I find useful. Here's a list of my favorites in no particular order. I'm not associated with any of these apps mentioned, and the only reason to include them in the list is because I found them useful, and I hope that you will too. The first app I'd like to talk about is NTFS for Mac. This is an app that gives you plug and play read and write ability to any NTFS format drive that you connect to it. That means, unlike the read-only ability that you get by default with Mac OS for NTFS drives, you can have all your external drives formatted in the NTFS format and still use them across platforms like Mac OS and Windows. This is especially useful if you have a mix of Windows and Mac OS devices. Microsoft NTFS for Mac by Paragon Software is now fully compatible with Apple Silicon Macs, and this is something that you install and forget. It just works in the background and ensures that you have a seamless experience with all external hard drives. You can try this software for free for a period of 10 days, after which it will cost you around rupees 1600 or $22 depending on where you're located. The next app is Folx. This is a download manager that has long worked well on Macs. It comes in two versions, the free and the pro. And with the pro getting a few added benefits like splitting downloads, ability to download YouTube videos, download scheduling, and a couple more. But for what I'm recommending this for, the free version is more than enough. The main reason to recommend this app is the download speed. If you've been using the built-in downloader from your browser, you will notice a significant speed increase when downloading large files, and also if the download fails, it is much more reliable at being able to restart the download. Secondly, there were big changes in macOS Catalina when it came to downloading torrents. For all the negative connotations associated with them, torrents do have a legal and really useful purpose of being able to crowdsource a file, and Folx is one of the few clients that gives macOS the ability to download torrent files. The pro version of Folx costs $995. The next app is Parallels Desktop. This is the gold standard when it comes to virtualization software for macOS. It gives you the ability to run Windows as a virtual machine right on your Mac. But what makes it truly shine is the way things have been integrated within macOS. So you could be working on a certain app inside of Windows, but the coherence mode will give you the ability to run this app right from your macOS dock. Performance is also generally excellent even when it comes to running slightly more intensive programs inside of Windows. A word of warning here, when running a virtual machine, Parallels Desktop tends to use about 6 to 7 GB of RAM at least. So ideally, you would want to use a machine with at least 16 GB of RAM. That is, if you want to do any form of meaningful multitasking when using a virtual machine. I've demonstrated how Windows runs via Parallels Desktop in a different video. Check out the links in the description to view that video. Also keep in mind that Microsoft has not released the final version of Windows that is able to run on ARM64 based architecture machines. So that means that this is still beta software and not to be depended upon for any kind of critical work until we see the final releases, both from Parallels Desktop as well as Microsoft. But there is no harm in trying. So if you're interested, do watch the video in the link in the description and give it a try for yourself. Next up is Trello. This is a really useful project management app that uses what's known as a Kanban board system, which is a Japanese language word for visual signal. You can think of this system as a series of post-it notes under different progress columns that you advance from one column to the next as the project completes each stage towards completion. This is really powerful stuff and has been adapted from the manufacturing industry and applied across other disciplines. So if this is something that you can integrate into your own workflow, then you may find it to be really useful. The good thing is that it is available on all platforms and the performance is very snappy and immediate. In fact, I found that the performance of Trello to be better than Notion, which is the next app that we will talk about. Now, Notion on the Mac is actually browser-based and it is a much more fully featured and extensive app than Trello. It is a blank canvas that can be edited into a number of things like to-do lists, calendars, a journal, a reading list, and pretty much anything that you want in a connected notes app. Everything can be hyperlinked within it, and it does represent a learning curve, at least initially, but people who have mastered it swear by its utility and its appeal for a variety of tasks. Different approaches work for different people, so you may find that the visual approach is better for you and you may not want to be overwhelmed with options, in which case you can try out Trello. Or you might want a single solution for planning and productivity tasks, in which case it's best to take some time to learn Notion. Let me quickly mention backup and sync for Google Drive. You may or may not have heard about this taskbar extension, but it will allow you to have a Google Drive folder on your Mac just like any other folder, or like the iCloud Drive folder, and anything you drag and drop here will be synced to the Google Drive and can be accessed on any device via Google Drive. Really useful if you have a Mac but use an Android phone. In case you don't see the Google Drive on your sidebar in Finder, after installing backup and sync, simply use the Go menu in the Finder and go home, and then find and drag the Google Drive folder to your sidebar. Now let's talk a bit about security. It's a well-known fact that until a few years ago, the widely held belief was that Mac computers did not need an antivirus software. Well, it was a fallacy then and it is a fallacy now. And you should take steps to protect your computer from various attacks that are now possible in this connected world. The first piece of software that I install when I get a new Mac is an antivirus program. I have trusted Norton antivirus since the 1990s, and that is what I continue to use. In fact, I've paid for 3 years of Norton internet security, and it gives me the ability to protect 10 devices. And believe it or not, all 10 licenses have been used. The experience of using it on macOS could be better, and it can be intrusive sometimes, especially when repeatedly asking for permissions with respect to internet access for apps or via a specific IP address or port. But it is still a small price to pay for the security that this offers, and it will completely shield your computer from having unwanted people install malicious software or tools. Really, this is not an option, and if you like some other brand more than Norton, then feel free to use that. But whatever you do, from day one, have an antivirus and internet security program installed on your machine before you use any other apps. Carrying on a bit with this security-based theme, I've also paid for and used over the past couple of years 2 of the best VPN services. For those that are unaware, this gives you the ability to virtually relocate your computer's IP address to another country or region, and at the same time completely secure your computer's data transmission so that no external party can decipher your data, including your ISP. VPNs are also very secure when it comes to using public Wi-Fi. Increasingly, in the age of internet censorship, as in the case with India nowadays, you will need to use, and it is a good idea to use, a VPN. 2 of the world's best known VPNs are ExpressVPN and NordVPN, and I've used both services for a couple of years now, and I'm in a good position to give you a comparison between the two. But whilst ExpressVPN does give you a few extra features like split tunneling, it costs more than NordVPN. It also offers generally more stable and consistent speeds than NordVPN across different countries. But the cost is generally a lot higher, almost twice as much as NordVPN. So ExpressVPN is the best, with NordVPN a close second. Choose as per your preference in terms of cost versus speed. And if you want a completely free option without any data caps, you can try Proton VPN. The speed will be abysmal compared to the other two, and there will be just 3 or 4 servers to choose from. But for quick jabs of work that require a VPN for a short while, this can be a good option that is actually free and has no data caps. So there you have it. Those were some of my favorite Mac apps that are lesser known but equally useful and should find a place on your mission control on your Mac. If you like this style of video and would like to see more, first of all check out the YouTube short that I made last week about 5 lesser known iPhone apps, and I will be glad to carry on this theme with iPad apps. I have a whole playlist on the M1 Mac that you should check out if you're planning to buy one or are a recent or existing M1 Mac owner. Do subscribe for future updates, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.